Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a former president and first lady are one step closer to being held in contempt of Congress over the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. And more measles cases are popping up around the country.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. I'm Caroline Mueller here with you on this Thursday, January 22nd. The time is now 6 a.m., which means it's time to check in with meteorologist Megan Desmel for a look at your forecast this morning. Megan, I really wish that those slightly warmer temperatures would stick around a little bit longer, but sadly, we've heard all week that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, I would love if they just stuck around for the rest of the week and none of the bad weather happens personally. But yeah, unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating heading into the weekend. But here's what you need to know for today is it's not a bad forecast on Thursday with temperatures right now upper 30s, low 40s. And by the time we head into the afternoon, still not bad. I mean, we're talking mid to upper 40s with some folks even having the chance of hitting that 50-degree mark. Middlesboro and Jacksboro, the forecast high is 50 degrees. Now, in terms of cloud cover, we are seeing a little bit of clouds here and there, so a partly cloudy start to your day. But by the time we head into the afternoon, we'll start to see those clouds just starting to taper away a little bit. Mostly sunny skies by the afternoon, sunny skies by about 4 p.m. and sunset will be at 5:46. Caroline.
Thank you, Megan. Brooks Hawk is appealing his murder conviction to the Kentucky Supreme Court. Last year, he was found guilty for the murder of his then-girlfriend, Crystal Rogers. Rogers disappeared in 2015 and is presumed dead. Hawk's attorney thinks several mistakes were made during the trial. They claim the prosecution didn't prove that Rogers was actually murdered and didn't have physical evidence linking Hawk to the crime. Hawk's attorneys think he should either be acquitted or given a new trial. Congress began a path yesterday that could result in sending Bill and Hillary Clinton to prison. The House Oversight Committee says the Clintons have not complied with its investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. WYMT Washington correspondent Brendan Collerton reports from Capitol Hill.
Republican James Comer says Bill Clinton is not allowed to dictate terms when it comes to discussing Jeffrey Epstein with Congress. Now, the Oversight Committee chairman is moving toward possible criminal penalties for the former First Family.
Recommending that the House of Representatives find former President William J. Clinton in contempt of Congress.
Representative Comer says he has been negotiating with the Clintons over an Epstein interview for 5 months, and he won't wait any longer.
We've offered flexibility on scheduling. The response we received was not cooperation, but defiance, marked by repeated delays, excuses, and obstruction.
Democrats on the committee say Comer's decision is disingenuous, considering the Trump administration is withholding Epstein documents despite Congress passing a law demanding their release.
The Department of Justice has released 1% of the files. 1% of the files. Where is the pressure to get Pam Bondi to release the files?
Lead Democrat on the committee, Robert Garcia, says the contempt charge is also premature, as the Clintons have negotiated on a possible interview.
Their initial offer was to do that testimony outside of Washington, D.C., with the leadership of the committee and staff. They have been open to transcription.
Comer says the Clintons' refusal to accept the committee's terms is unacceptable and has gone on too long to ignore.
Try to act like Bill Clinton's a victim here, I think is a stretch. We know who the victims are, and I think if you ask the victims, do you want to hear from Bill Clinton? I'm pretty confident I know what the answer will be.
Holding the Clintons in contempt of Congress would eventually require a majority vote on the House floor. It would also be up to the Trump administration to decide whether to press criminal charges. In Washington, I'm Brendan Collerton.
The House Oversight Committee voted 34-8 to hold former President Bill Clinton in contempt of Congress. The body voted 28-15 to hold Hillary Clinton in contempt. The Supreme Court heard oral arguments yesterday in a high-stakes case that could have a major impact on the independence of the Federal Reserve. At issue is the legality of President Trump's attempt to fire Lisa Cook from her post on the Fed's Board of Governors. The president maintains he had cause to fire her because of allegations of mortgage fraud in 2021 before her appointment. Justices questioned the evidence behind the allegations and whether Cook was allowed to respond.
Was Ms. Cook given the opportunity in some sort of formal proceeding to contest that evidence or explain it?
Not a formal proceeding. She was given an opportunity in public because
in the world,
notified.
like she was supposed to post about it, and that was the opportunity to be heard that you're saying was afforded to her in this case?
Yes, and
this is the first time in the Fed's 112-year history that a president has tried to fire a sitting governor. It comes at a time when President Trump has repeatedly slammed the Fed for its interest rate policy. Minnesota faith leaders, business owners, workers, and others are calling for a statewide day of no work, no school, and no shopping on Friday to demand that ICE officers leave the state. Organizers are calling it a day of nonviolent moral reflection and are asking Congress to intervene in the aftermath of Renee Good's shooting death by an ICE officer and a recent law enforcement surge. The day of the protest is expected to include a march through downtown Minneapolis. A number of state officials and leaders gathered to express support for Friday's event. President Trump leaves Davos, Switzerland today with a concept of a deal on Greenland in the works. His threats of tariffs and possible military action going into the World Economic Forum raised concerns among some European allies. As he works to lower the temperature, some American lawmakers worry about the impact of relations with world leaders. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
At the World Economic Forum,
the deal is going to be put out pretty soon.
President Trump with an apparent breakthrough on Greenland as his threat to take over the autonomous Danish territory dominated discussion in Davos.
I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals.
On social media, the president said early agreements on a framework came after a very productive meeting with NATO's Secretary General. Trump also announcing he will not be imposing tariffs on a host of European nations that resisted his push. Details of the deal still scarce, though NATO said negotiations are aimed at ensuring that Russia and China never gain a foothold in Greenland.
I think this is really an idea of putting Greenland under the wing of NATO rather than ownership by the U.S. And making it a regional effort.
As the president now works with NATO in the Arctic, he went after NATO allies as unreliable partners.
We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones.
U.S. lawmakers in Davos responded to the president's remarks.
There's a way to achieve what the president rightfully points out we need to achieve in the Arctic without any of this drama.
This is pretty damn stupid. Now you look at what it means going after territory from another member of NATO. That is crossing a red line.
Today, President Trump is turning his focus to the Middle East, touting his Board of Peace plan for Gaza. While over a dozen nations have signed on, some key allies have declined. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Membership on the Board of Peace would be limited to 3-year terms unless a member paid $1 billion for the board's projects. President Trump is also slated to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky about Russia's ongoing war today. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff overnight said negotiations are wrapping up, now down to one issue. In Houston, the 4 astronauts who evacuated last week from the International Space Station made their first public appearance since returning to Earth because of a medical crisis. The astronauts declined to reveal who needed medical attention and why. It was NASA's first medical evacuation in 65 years of human spaceflight.
How we handled everything all the way through nominal operations to this unforeseen operations really bodes well for future exploration. We're a well-honed machine here at the Johnson Space Center and around the world. So when we're getting ready for Artemis, I am very optimistic.
The 11 million pound Artemis II rocket was moved over the weekend from an assembly building to a launch pad at Florida's Kennedy Space Center ahead of a planned mission to the moon.
Just watching a little bit of clouds this morning, partly cloudy skies to start off your Thursday. But as we head into the afternoon, we're looking at mostly sunny to sunny skies, and temperatures really are not going to be that bad all day long. I mean, we're talking 30s and 40s as you're heading out the door, and those temperatures are just going to continue to warm up. And by the time we head into the afternoon, well, we're looking at mid to upper 40s. I mean, it's a little bit chillier for some of our northern counties, only getting to the upper 30s and low 40s, but overall, a very great forecast, especially compared to most days this week. Here's a look at that forecast for you, though. High temperatures will be around that 3 o'clock time frame. Plenty of sunshine by the afternoon. Caroline.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you for getting your day started with us here on Mountain News this morning. Still to come, meet a teenager who has a goal of making books available to everyone in the U.S.